Allo, porque ansimu, bati baby. Allo, nakupenda sana. Allo mama, allo, wapi baby, mapenzi tamu. Allo, nakutaka sana. Oh mama. Hey, Mazee, asante sana for joining us for yet another classic episode of the Weekend Edition. I'm your host, Dr. Kingori. Mazee, just when I thought the election week was the busiest week in Kenya, kumbe I had not seen this past week. One of the biggest stories from this week, the Jubilee Party headquarters was put up for auction and the political scene was uncontainable. We'll not discuss that on the show because, to be honest, the sale or auction of a house related to politicians is not news in Kenya. How many times have we heard of allegations of parliament being bought or going to the highest bidder? Maramob sana. Moving on, Interior CS Fred Matiang'i this week introduced digital plates for motor vehicles. I hope this will finish Kenyans' obsessions with new number plates. Kila mtu sasa atakuwa na number plate mpya. Hey Buda, unaendeshaje KZ? Na wewe acha kuangalia alphabets Buda. Hii number plate ni mbichi mzee. Now, the problem is Kenyans have already started complaining about the 3,000 bob price tag. But that's expected. Anything that involves cost and a plate in the same sentence will get the same treatment as unga prices. Now, watu wanduthi, now wako na legit concern by the watu wanduthi hawajamini serikali nataka walipe 3K kupewa number plate. 3,000. Kama serikali itaki tufanye kazi watu wabie. Hiyo ni mafuta ya mwaka moja wanataka tumwage kwa mabati. Msiogope lakini niko sure base you're the same. In other news, several lessons across the week. The heaviest one for me has to be Maze, never speak English when you're angry. Especially if it's not your mother tongue. And especially in public. Maze, asira ikikupata ukiongea kizungu mbele ya umati, you'd rather seek refuge in Kiswahili or other familiar territories. And then you come back when it's safe.
I think the excitement here basically is because the crowd that is gathering and has already decided to join into this link as supporters of that independent candidate, and they are quite loud if you can hear them in the background. These are just some of the people who are much excited about this projected win for their particular candidate. Munani Sukuma! Mark and Smitty, let me take it back to you in studio.
And it's true. Hiyo ni video moja tu. The English language has a tendency of causing undue embarrassment when spoken in anger. People who have information always do hiyo kitu Leila amefanya hapo.
Munani Sukuma! Mark and Smitty, let me take it back to you in studio.
Meona? Asira ikichemka unaingia kwa Kiswahili kidogo alafu you come back when it's safe. Here's evidence from some old footage proving that you should never mix the English language with anger.
Not better to matter what country, class, or credit to the others. How you matter what country, class, or credit to the others? The cake, Kratoma. Adwaya Patudre, Nigeria Tarayama.
Niliambia watu, kizungu sio grammar. Kizungu ni confidence. Now my hero in that video ni Shosh. See, what carried the day for me was when her expression read foreign language detected.
How you matter what country, class, or credit to the other?
Shosh alisindwa, mzaya anasema nini bana? Hata hajaisikia hiyo lugha, usiwahi changanya kizungu na hasira. Now it has generally been a judgment week for Kenyans. Lawyers for the top political players in the country were squaring it out at the Supreme Court. The Kenya Union of Haters, on the other hand, spent the better part of the week judging Aziad. Haters, people hating on skin color is okay as long as it's Kenyans doing it. Kesia the Alchemist is where we draw the line. This redefines setting the bar. Anyway, still on judgments, very interesting highlights from the pre-trial hearing of the presidential petitions at the Supreme Court. For me, it was the low-key, hizo low blow za chini ya maji. Kutukanana ni kama hujatukanana, unasifu mtu alafu unamtukana. Very calm. I remember when Wajackoya rose to speak, he rose asked to speak, and then got this response from Judge Ouko. You cannot tell me that this had nothing to do with the Roots Party Weed Manifesto.
But what I want to beg or to pray is that I pray to be given some opportunity, probably under your discretion, so that I can also be enjoined to speak through my counsel on case number 7, of which I was enjoined as an interested party. I've already submitted my responses, and in this room and in the absence of Raila Amolo Odinga and Honorable Ruto, I think I'm the most approved person here.
We issued directions regarding the use of this courtroom, and we explained why we only have so many lawyers allowed here. One is the space itself. Number 2 is the COVID protocols that require us to keep some social distancing. And number 3 is security. And so we have another room, High Court number 1.
Wajackoya alisimama akasema apewe nafasi ya ongee, alafu Judge Ouko akamwambia hawatampea nafasi aende huko kwa High Court. Anyway, maybe I'm overthinking hapo kwa kutuma Wajackoya kwa High Court. But I just like how Judge Smoking stayed away from commenting on the Roots Party leader's request. I also noticed a lot of symbolism in the Supreme Court. One of the reasons Wajackoya and his team were not allowed in the main court is because of the COVID-19 rules, one of them being social distancing. Basically, by denying Wajackoya's request to join the proceedings, the Supreme Court did to Wajackoya what the Supreme Court did to Wajackoya the same thing voters did to him on the 9th. Distancing him from the first petitioner and the first respondent, in fact, putting him as far as possible. But then, that aside, tuko na show nzito sana, usingizi. Sleep maze is a very tricky thing in this country. Kwanza kitu poa sana tuko na professionals kwa show. Acheni tu niwaambush na swali moja. Najua hii iko in the head of almost everyone. Na taanza na wewe. What is it about sleep and the church? Unaweza ona movie mpaka asubuhi. Unaweza fanya shughuli zako juu umeshindwa kulala, but ukiingia tu kanisa hivi. Mchungaji akiingia kwa injili, akifungua Mark chapter 2, umeenda. What is it about sleep? Na the right place to sleep.
That's the thing. You already know you need to sleep, but you have that extra thing. Nataka kuona movie, nataka kuona mpaka asubuhi. Now, when the morning comes, you actually need to do other things, but your body does not have the energy. And also because we don't plan for that sleep.
So if you find yourself sleeping in church, it is the church's mistake.
It is not the church's mistake, it is your mistake. You should have gone to bed. So ulikuwa unajua unaenda kanisa the following day. You knew you're going to class. But you've been partying the whole night here, and then in the morning.
Sleep was not there.
It was what do you mean sleep was not there?
Serious?
Sleep is there. We just, as adults, we just have bad manners. It's like, here, I have another thing to do that I should have done, And then now what is the consequence? Sleep deprivation.
Na consequence ya sleep deprivation tulikuwa tunaongea, ukaniambia you can die. As in you can sleep for good.
Yes, you can sleep for good.
That's a proper psychological term.
Yes, you can die. After a long period of time, you can die.
Like a polite name for death.
Yes.
You sleep for good.
Yes. Yeah, unfortunately.
Unfortunately?
Yes.
Unfortunately.
Sleeping for good.
Hii promotion to a higher glory is a scam.
How sure are you are promoted to a higher glory?
That's an interesting part of a very interesting debate. We have professionals who could discuss now his story. This episode is going to focus on the facts, myths, and perceptions of sleep. Tuko na Jacinta Morioki, who is a psychologist, anafanya masters in psychotherapy. Clinical psychology, there's a difference, ndio? Yes. Wapi makofi ya Jacinta? Asante sana. Alafu Ruth Mwende akona title interesting sana. Amenitoa mali nilikuwa nataka kuenda. Mwende Kimweli. That's her brand name. Naitwa Mwende Kimweli. She's a sleep consultant. Amenitoa sana. alinitoa sana kwa sleep trainer kwa sababu it's very interesting to even think that you need to be trained to sleep. To help us navigate this conversation and to help you, to keep you awake through a very interesting conversation, please join us on the other end of this short commercial break. Manze, welcome back to the weekend edition. I'm your host, Dr. Kingori. Najua usingizi, the result inakuanga from a boring experience, but this is a very interesting conversation involving sleep. Our guest on this episode, tuko na mtu anaswa. One of our guests is studying for masters, is doing her masters in clinical psychology, and our other guest is a sleep consultant, especially for TWE. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Jacinta Muriuki na Mwende Kimweli. You must know dawa ya snoring, and I'm asking this for broken marriages or upcoming divorces. Yes.
Okay, snoring, it can be due to various factors. So, per snoring, it depends what is the cause for you to snore. A simple example is, mtu akishikwa na flu, most of the time you end up snoring. Flu, sindio? Hii flu ya kawaida inaitwa homa. Yes. Most of the time you end up snoring. So ukipewa dawa ya kumaliza flu, so you stop snoring.
Okay.
That is one. Others, they have obstruction of the airwaves. Yeah? So they might end up being operated ndio ili waweze hewa ipite vizuri.
Ngoja. Kungorota, unaenda surgery ya kuwekwa silent.
Kungorota ni kwamba hewa haipiti vizuri.
Ndio nauliza.
Yes.
Utaenda upigwa anesthesia ati unaenda uzima. Like I'm struggling to wrap my head around this. Ati nimefanya surgery. It was a minor surgery. Ati shida ilikuwa kungorota tu, but sasa niko sawa, as in I'm wrapping my head around that.
I said in snoring, hiyo kungorota inaweza kuwa imekosewa na different reasons, ndio? Nikakupea example ya kwanza ni kwamba inaweza kuwa uko tu na homa ya kawaida, flu,
ya
ndio?
Pili ni umeblokiwa.
Ya pili, kuna watu wako na tonsils, kuna adenoids, unasikia watu wako na sinuses. Yes, so some of them require ziende zitolewe ndio anaweza kupumua vizuri.
So unaweza enda hospitali uambiwe kungorota yako ni gani?
Yes.
Ya theater ama ya kipindi?
Yes. Yeah.
No, please. Wadau, niambie ama I'm overthinking.
No, you're not overthinking.
Yes, you're not overthinking.
You can. Ukitolewa hiyo sinuses zinakusumbua, hizo tonsils ndio zinakufanya sasa unalala vizuri, upigii bibi kelele ama ni bwana usiku. Yeah, and sometimes it could also be some it's due to weight.
Na some others is pretending because you are tired of the marriage.
Yeah, well, that could be also another reason. Unataka kumfukuza lakini unataka kumwambia atoke.
Na mtu anaweza jua akiwa na shida ya kungorota, because I understand most people don't know how they sound when they sleep.
Yeah, sometimes they can be told. If you have a partner, you can be told, and then when you wake up in the morning, how do you feel? Do you feel kama ulilala vizuri ama now the quality of sleep. Do you feel you slept well ama una feel kama ulikuwa ile saa zingine tunasema una feel ulikuwa kwa shamba na ujui ulienda kwa shamba ya nani usiku? Yeah. So you can go like to a sleep consultant and tell her, I have this issue when I feel like I sleep well, but then when I wake up I'm just exhausted. What could be the issue? Maybe anaweza kuambia just try to video yourself at night and see, maybe you can
video yourself. I was just about to dive into, sometimes you just get married to know the problems you have usiku. Unaweza jivideo ukilala ndio ujue kama wewe ungorota?
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
Yes,
or uone kama you sleepwalk.
Yes.
Nightmares and everything else.
No, seriously? You guys are not saying this?
No. There's something called a sleep study. There's something called a sleep study. Sleep study is...
You record yourself?
Well, not
so where do you get the 8 hours to watch yourself sleeping?
No, you don't watch yourself.
You don't. I want to take you back a little bit to something you mentioned about naps. A power nap is a 30-minute nap. It is not a 10-minute nap. The reason it's not a 10-minute nap is because between you being awake and you falling asleep, it takes about 15 minutes. If you're taking 5 minutes, there's something wrong with your sleep in total. Now, I'll say in a marital setting, and I do not want to be stereotypical, men tend to fall asleep faster.
My friend, they know had a concern about that.
And when they do fall asleep faster, it means that they were tired.
Yeah.
There is a rhythm between you being awake and you falling asleep. It should take you at least 10 to 15 minutes. If you're falling asleep in 5 minutes, you're tired.
Hautaingia huko kwa why they are tired.
I'll tell you why they're tired. Then, when she's talking about
Recording.
Waking up feeling tired, when you sleep too fast, you unaingia sleep haraka without going through what we call a wind down process. The wind down process is, I don't know who can say that they sleep well. You go through a moment of nimeiko kwa kitanda, I am awake, I feel drowsy, I close my eyes, and when you close your eyes, you can actually hear anything that is external, and then you fall into deep sleep. Now, after falling into deep sleep, your first 5 hours of the night are the deepest part of sleep. Jopo katikati kuna other sleep cycles. Now that's jargon. But then the first 5 hours of sleep are your deepest. Now, if you check the time that you go to maybe a bathroom run, if you go to bed properly, it is always between saa saba na saa nane, which is a whole different sector of sleep, what we call rapid eye movement, where you are consciously awake. Consciously awake means unasikianga hata jirani. Consciously awake, but then you go back to sleep. Now, in that second part of sleep, that's when you're dreaming more. Okay? Now, because there is something called sleep pressure. Sleep pressure is what regulates you going in and out of sleep. So towards the morning, your sleep pressure keeps reducing, then you wake up. Yeah. Now, people with sleep apnea or obstructive sleep apnea, they have a problem with snoring. So, wakilala, there is a cut-off of air in the middle, and then they wake up. Okay? So a lot of people with obstructive sleep apnea have a tendency to wake up a lot in the middle of the night, meaning they're constantly breaking their sleep. So, anaamka unaona unagongwa hivi, hata unagongwa then unaamka. So you see, you've just literally stopped that sleep, then you go back to sleep again. So constantly in and out, there's oscillation of nimelala sijalala, nimelala sijalala. Position.
Umesema apnea.
Apnea, A-P-N-E-A, apnea. It's called obstructive sleep apnea.
Hewa inakatika, unaamka.
Literally, it's your airway. There's a disruption of your airway through your body.
And people go through that frequently?
Yes, and mostly, if you look at the reasons why they have sleep apnea, it could be, first of all, let's start with lifestyle. You're either overweight and you don't sleep properly.
Psychologically, that's not near death.
Yes, actually, it is risky. It is
very risky.
It is risky. It is risky.
Yeah. And that's why the
sleep can kill you.
Yes, that's why the sleep study is done. A sleep study will literally take you through how long does it take you to fall asleep? How is your breathing? How is your leg movement? Yeah. How is your snoring? In a sleep study, mtu anakangwa microphone, okay, to hear whether you're snoring loudly or it's just normal. We all snore, it's just that it has different volumes, okay? And so through that sleep study, then it's determined what exactly do you have. If you actually have sleep apnea, you are one. Some people, you're told, in a behavioral concept, you're told to have a sleep schedule, change your diet, work out, stop going to bed late, position of how you sleep. There are people who have to sleep with a pillow, and then ukitoa pillow, they stop snoring. Diet.
I swear, nasimwekelei. I have a friend, namjua, Edi Butita. Butita akikaribia ugali. Whichever place it will be, is gone. Yes. Like kaput. Like, by the way, Butita akiona ugali, aki-interact nayo, unaweza mwekea alarm. Unajua huyu anaenda. Like, I think, you tumia ugali kama piriton. As in, is diet that directly linked to sleep?
Allow me to do a mini diagnosis on your friend, Eddie Butita.
Please.
He's a creative, right?
Yeah.
He's a creative.
Anaangushwa na ugali?
No. A creative person has their sleep is very different because of the type of job they do. Creative people spend a lot of time awake at night. An idea will come at a coders. Anybody who is in a creative space will spend a lot of time when their brain is what? When their brain is working a lot at night. Sasa mchana, when he gets the opportunity to eat, sasa hapo ndio, now that's what you call crashing. There is crash, my body is just like, I'm done. So you've eaten a heavy meal, eventually mwili nakwambia unajua ni aje? Tulale. And then level of activity. We're going to diet, but then we talk about level of activity. You can't eat a heavy meal and just sit like this the whole day.
The point is heavy meal.
Heavy meal.
Heavy meal.
You can't sit like this the whole. Usingizi na kushikanga tu anywhere.
In our circle of friends,
Yes.
we know.
Yes.
Unaona club ati watu wamewekewa mchele. Ukitaka kutega butita. Ukitaka kutega butita.
Mweke ugali.
But I don't think they use that kwa club juu ya bei ya unga, but I think that's why they go with rice. But that's a very interesting thing you say. And then tena there's a relationship between eating and sleeping, because kwa shule people joke about kuwekewa math double lesson after lunch. Hakuna kitu itaingia, hiyo ni D. Sindio? What's this? The same explanation. What you eat determines how you sleep.
Okay, apart from even what you eat, the quantity. Yeah?
Oh, the quantity.
The quantity. Kuna ile kukula kushiba na kuna ile kukula kuharibu jina. Ama
yeah, passion.
Yeah, a passion. Yeah? And then you are seated. You're not engaging in a vigorous activity that is making you active. What do you expect will happen?
So should you be eating in the gym? Like what?
Okay, not eating in the gym.
What do you mean vigorous activity?
Okay, not si vitu kama gym, as in you are engaged. Unajua, when the teacher is teaching, you are a passive listener. Uko hapo, when ni kusikiliza yes, no, 25, 26, hivyo. Si kama mwalimu mwenye anafundisha, ana move from one desk to another, ako at least engaged, not like you. Wewe umeketi. Yes, that's one. Another thing, interest. Subject yenye nafundishwa, most of the time tunasema ni history, was naekwaga history na CRE ndo zinaekwaga during the afternoon times, yeah? Is it your interest? Yeah? Because mtu mwenye akona interest na history, hata lala. Atakuwa ala atasikilize. But if you're not interested, ata akianza tu the okay, I didn't do history. Whatever the subject is, yeah, you'll fall asleep very easily. Yeah? And then apart from that, how is your state? Are you okay? Yeah? Or is someone maybe you are going through your own personal issues? Because even your state of mind determines if you're going to be focused or not.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have cases, watu who admit that mimi ulala kama gunia. Hata ukimtoa, kuna a friend who called me akaniambia, ye ulala, mpaka unaweza mbeba, umweke chini na ubebe vitu, uende na amelala. Is that a sleep disorder ama that's a stress-free person? Mostly watu wanalala hivyo ni watu wanaishi na mtu.
Well, now, everything that we talk about that happens to us has a history. Every single one of them. And that's why, for me, I'm the biggest advocate of children sleeping, because they become adults who are very proactive. Now, you see, if you're talking about Dr. Kingori, ulala kagunia, can we start with what is your chronotype? What kind of sleeper are you?
Yeah.
Again, jargon. We have different types of sleepers. The people who are light sleepers, the early morning birds. Me, I'm a night owl. I do not function very well with mornings. And then there are people
You do not function very well in
I am not a morning. I don't thrive in the morning. Even if I will work in the morning, it's not to my optimum. But ukitaka nifanye kazi, if I'm literally in between work, I can work clearly the whole night. And that's what differentiates my sleep quality from your sleep quality.
How do you know my sleep quality?
Your sleep quality, back to your sleep quality will be, how do you feel in the morning? And that's why it's important to check yourself.
Ndio nasema, a night owl, is this by design, by sleeping pattern yenye umegrow nayo, which can be manipulated or changed? In that, unaweza decide, I want to adopt a sleeping pattern that will see me waking up at 4 and that will be my style. Ama mimi nitalala time nitalala, nitaamka time nimeamka, that's my style.
Some are genetic. Some are genetic, one. Some can be manipulated depending on the job that you do. Because what happens is immediately you start to manipulate your chronotype, it will fit into the next thing. Let's assume that you come to the studio early in the morning, okay? For let's say 6 months, you'll start to be waking up at 3 a.m. every single time. But if your job was to shift to an 8 to 5, first of all, you'll struggle to implement the change in the new schedule of your life. But you have to adapt to it. That's where the whole behavioral concept comes in.
Okay. So ukiona mtu ako na hasira za ujinga, nini.
First question I ask, unajua kulala vizuri?
All you need is a lullaby.
I know. You need a power nap.
Mapima kofi ya mwende na Jacinta. Asante sana, thank you. Karibu sana tena na tena kwa show yetu.
Thank you.
That's it for the weekend edition. See you next week. My name is Dr. Kingori.